8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament issued. The Parliament to be prorogued. Regulation of Election Expenditure Bill and Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill come into effect. The Foreign Minister holds extensive bilateral talks with his Saudi counterpart. State Minister of Finance is hopeful of early IMF board approval. USS Anchorage departs on successful completion of CARAT 2023. In news overseas, more than 150 dead as Afghans face cold wave. And in sports news, Royal Thomaian cricket encounter rescheduled due to the elections. Those are the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament was issued by President's Secretary Saman Ekanayake and will be effective from midnight today. Accordingly, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to ceremonially inaugurate the fourth session of the 9th Parliament at 10 a.m. on the 8th of February. It is a tradition for the President to deliver his government's policy statement at the commencement of the new session of the Parliament. Accordingly, the policy statement to be implemented in the country from the 75th independence celebrations in the year 2023 until the centenary celebrations in the year 2048, consisting of new policies, new laws and acts proposed to be implemented for the betterment of the country, irrespective of party, colour or caste discrimination, will be presented to the Parliament. Speaker Mahindaya Pabewardena has endorsed the certificate on the regulation of Election Expenditure Bill and the Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill, which were debated and passed in Parliament recently. Accordingly, these bills come into force as the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act No. 3 of the year 2023 and the Bureau of Rehabilitation Act No. 2 of 2023 respectively. The Regulation of Election Expenditure Bill with amendments was passed in the Parliament on the 19th of January with a majority of 61 votes. Foreign Affairs Minister Ali Sabri has had an extensive bilateral discussion with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, on a wide range of issues. On the invitation extended by Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, his Sri Lankan counterpart undertook an official visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from the 22nd to the 27th of January. During the meeting with the Saudi Foreign Minister, Minister Sabri has expressed his appreciation for the excellent arrangement made in connection with his visit and the generous hospitality accorded to him and his delegation during his stay in the kingdom. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapati stated yesterday that he is hopeful that Sri Lanka will receive the first tranche of the extended fund facility due from the International Monetary Fund soon, following a discussion with an IMF delegation. The discussion, which was deemed successful by the State Minister with the IMF Executive Director for India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Bhutan, Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, have led the delegation. While Minister Siambalapati expressed his confidence with regard to obtaining the EFF, the meeting also focused at length on the issues faced by the public of Sri Lanka and the concerns surrounding the state revenue. Technical issues in relation to obtaining loans were also discussed at the meeting, a release issued by the Ministry of Finance said, stating that it was ensured that at the end of the said discussion that the island nation is entitled to a financial facility made available by the IMF. On the successful completion of the Cooperation Afloat Readiness and Training 2023 exercise, USS Anchorage of the United States Navy departed the island this morning. Sri Lanka Navy bade customary farewell to the departing ship in compliance with the naval traditions at the port of Colombo. USS Anchorage arrived in Colombo on the 19th of January to take part in the CARAT 2023 exercise. She conducted a series of naval exercises with SLNS Gajabahu and SLNS Samudra off the coast of West. These exercises were also augmented by the shipborne helicopters of the USS Anchorage. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The Gazette notification of the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament issued. The Parliament to be prorogued. Regulation of Elections Expenditure Bill and Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill come into effect. The Foreign Minister holds extensive bilateral discussions with his Saudi counterpart. State Minister of Finance is hopeful of early IMF board approval. US's Anchorage departs on the successful completion of Carrot 2023. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, the Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament was issued by President Secretary Saman Ekanayake and will be effective from midnight today. Accordingly, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to ceremonially inaugurate the fourth session of the 9th Parliament at 10 a.m. on the 8th of February. It is a tradition for the President to deliver his government's policy statement at the commencement of the new session of the Parliament. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And in Washington tonight, Sri Lanka Navy seized 2 large consignments of Kerala cannabis with a wet weight of more than 49 kilograms in separate operations conducted in the seas off Jaffna on Wednesday. One consignment was taken into custody during a special search operation off the Delft Island in Jaffna, in which 3 suspects aboard in a dinghy were apprehended. SLNS Wasaba, attached to the Northern Naval Command, has seized approximately 20 kilograms and 900 grams of wet weight of Kerala cannabis while searching another dinghy on suspicion. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news: more than 150 dead as Afghans battle cold wave. Onions become a luxury in the Philippines. India to export 50 million eggs to Malaysia. Those are the headlines, and now move on to the details of the world news. More than 160 people have died from a cold wave in Afghanistan this month, in the worst winter in more than a decade, authorities said on Thursday, as the country is facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. Many were unable to afford fuel to heat their homes in temperatures well below freezing. The coldest winter in 15 years, which has seen temperatures dip as low as minus 34 degrees Celsius, has hit Afghanistan in the middle of a severe economic crisis. According to official statistics, the price of onions surged in the Philippines to around $12.8 per kilogram last month. It is more than the cost of meat and the Southeast Asian country's daily minimum wage. Although the prices have eased in the recent weeks, onions are still a luxury for many consumers. India is set to export a record 50 million eggs this month, boosted by sales to Malaysia, where industry officials said there have been an acute shortage for soaring feed prices caused by the Ukrainian war, forced small-scale farmers to cut output. The biggest such unexpected order came from Malaysia, which used to export eggs to Singapore and other Asian countries. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. More than 150 dead as Afghans battle cold wave. The onions become a luxury in the Philippines. India to export 50 million eggs to Malaysia. And that was the world news.
Development news.
Moving on to development news, Colombo South Port is to be developed by China Merchant Port Company, its existing venture CICT and SLPA as public partnership project with an investment of $150 million. Sri Lanka is all set to roll out the first phase of the proposed Colombo South Port development project as a public-private partnership with the approval of the cabinet. Cabinet co-spokesman and Minister Bandala Gunawardena said, based on the recommendations of the Cabinet-appointed negotiation committee, the government has decided to implement the Colombo International Container Terminal's proposal evaluated by the Cabinet-appointed negotiation committee, the minister said in this at the post-Cabinet meeting media briefing. That was the development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, the 144th Battle of the Blues between St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia and Royal College Colombo has been rescheduled in view of the local government elections. The long-standing school cricket match, which is generally played on March 9th, 10th and 11th, has been rescheduled to an immediate next weekend. The Joint Organizing Committee said on Friday that the match has been rescheduled due to the local government elections being scheduled for the opening day of the match and also to avoid any potential problems. That was sports news, business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Oxbridge and Ivy Social was held at Cinnamon Life Integrated Resort, an iconic 4.5 million square feet integrated mixed-use development created and developed by John Keys Holdings plc recently. The annual event, which is exclusively held for the Oxbridge Alumni Society and Ivy League Alumni Society, relocated the annual seasonal social to Colombo's most anticipated and largest mixed development property. That is the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Spain is one of the fastest recovery markets for Sri Lanka tourism after the pandemic, and the participation in FITUR argues well for the much-needed exposure for Sri Lanka as an attractive tourism destination for Spanish-speaking countries, contributing in a substantive manner to its overall growth strategy. Sri Lanka Tourism made the presence with 28 private sector companies at the 43rd edition of FITUR International Travel Mart, which was held from the 18th to the 22nd of January 2023 in Madrid, Spain. FITUR is the largest tourism event in the Spanish market, where all sectors of leisure, business and MyCitourism meet under one roof. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the Uva province and in the Batticaloa, Ampara, Polonnaruwa and Martale districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces and in the Kandy and Noora area districts during the afternoon or night. This weather report was released this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The Gazette notification on the prorogation of the third session of the 9th Parliament issued. The Parliament to be prorogued. Regulation of Election Expenditure Bill and Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill come into effect. The Foreign Minister holds extensive bilateral talks with his Saudi counterpart. State Minister of Finance is hopeful of early IMF board approval. USS Anchorage departs on successful completion of CARA 2023. In news overseas, more than 150 dead as Afghans battle cold wave. And in sports news, Royal Thomaian cricket encounter rescheduled due to the elections. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.